Welcome to Bounce Back Stronger, the podcast that explores ways to find peace and purpose after difficulty. I'm your host, Donna Ferris, and today we welcome one of our favorite guests, psychic medium Cristina Leeson. A little bit about Cristina. With over 2 decades of experience, Cristina has been teaching, conducting readings, and guiding people to rediscover their purpose in this lifetime. Her journey includes facilitating spiritual expos, speaking at the Edgar Cayce Institute, hosting spiritual conferences and retreats, and hosting a radio show that served the U.S. East Coast. She recently published her first book, Live in the Light, Respect the Dark, about her ghostly experiences and how to handle spirits when you come upon them. Cristina, thank you for joining us on Bounce Back Stronger. It's good to have you with us as we ready ourselves for 2025.
Hi, Donna. Thank you for having me.
Always good to have you. So, what are you up to these days? We've had you on a couple times. The book has come out. How have you been doing and what have you been doing?
I kind of revamped what I was doing for my work. I did revamp my website, really focused on career and business readings. So, really focused on giving information to people in reading form on how to help their business become a success, whether it's a spiritual business or it's any type of business. It could be real estate, it could be construction. I've pretty much delved into a lot of different career paths and different businesses in different industries. So I really wanted to focus a lot on how to be more successful, how to streamline a business, if there's any ups and downs, if there's any issues that need to be fixed or reorganized in a business. I love it. It's one of my passions. And I have a spirit guide that is a business oriented master, and it's
Oh,
Serapis Bay, and he works with me for people's businesses.
that's a really interesting niche that you've kind
Mhm.
of gravitated toward.
It's kind of like specializing a little
Yeah.
bit, and I do the other regular readings, with every day and relationships and things like that. But this business thing has really excited me because when we merge ourselves with spirit, when we take spirit's energy and really tap in, we can help our businesses and our careers and our purpose really grow, really enhance that and become successful and abundant. We don't have to have a business where it's beating up your workers or trying to control everything. We can work together with spirit, and spirit will align us with the right people at the right time and guide us to how we can manage our businesses better so that we could thrive.
That's really fascinating that you have moved into that space. Is there any specific types of advice that keep coming up in that space that might be helpful to listeners?
With business, well,
Yeah.
there's a lot of people who want to take their spiritual business to the next level too. There's a lot of people who want to do their hobbies, their spiritual hobbies, like their side gig,
Hmm.
and they want to enhance it. They want to bring it forward more. And sometimes when we have something that we're working on spiritually, whether you could be teaching Reiki or you could be doing readings like I am, sometimes spirit will come in and say, if you tweak this or tweak that with your spiritual business, that you can actually have it thrive to the point where you can let go of your day job or the other type of work that you're doing so that you can really focus all your energy on the spiritual work. And I've done that. Like I
Hmm.
had another job, I was working, and then this was my side gig, and spirit told me, like, gave me direction on what I needed to do, how I needed to cultivate it, how I needed to market, if there was something I was missing, if I needed a certain facilitator or teacher. They can help us, and they can help our businesses thrive in the new way of doing business. I
Mm,
I really believe that. And there's a lot of CEOs of companies that meditate, they get aha moments, epiphanies. It's amazing how we're getting closer and closer to spirit, and spirit's there to help us become abundant.
that's great. Let's turn to 2025. Are there any specific energies or opportunities that we should focus on to enhance our personal growth and resilience in this new year?
Well, this year we're going into a 9 year. 2025 breaks down into a nine. And nine energy is about endings. And in those endings, it brings wisdom. So nine is about wisdom, humanitarianism, looking at the bigger picture, really putting us in a situation where we need to help each other on a larger scale so that it lifts everyone instead of focusing on just one person. That humanitarian energy is coming in really strong this year. But also, the endings are very, very pertinent. Lots of endings. There's a lot of people crossing over right now. They're going to continue in the next month or two. And the endings could be karmic. I had an issue recently that I was dealing with my own personal growth, and I really needed to put an end to that self sabotage or whatever it is, that challenge, that block that I had. And this energy right now, it's about realizing, where do I keep stumbling over the same challenges over and over again? And what needs to be addressed so I finally rid myself of this so that I can move forward and it won't hinder me any longer.
It's interesting that humanitarian would come to the forefront because it doesn't feel all that humanitarian coming into 2025 right now.
It's calling us to be humanitarians because there's a lot of chaotic energy out there, and there's a lot of fear and doubt and frustration and angst. And I think it's calling us, especially the teachers, to write that book, to get out on YouTube, to do these podcasts and things like that, to inspire people, to give people faith and hope. Because the opposite of fear is faith. If you are afraid, you can't hear your guides. If you are in constant feeling of lack or frustration or anxiety, you can't hear your guides. You can't hear them. And it's not that they left, because they will never leave you. Your guidance system, your angels, your divine support team never leave you. The problem is we get stuck, and it's almost like we put a shroud over us and we can't hear them. It's like they feel like they're so far away, or sometimes we feel like we're all alone, like they left us, but they don't ever leave us. They're always trying over and over to try and get our attention.
I guess the question I would have is how do you keep your light in this time? I think that's a really difficult thing for people,
Keep
that
their
light.
light. Mhm.
Yeah.
We all have spiritual gifts. Every single one of us has a spiritual ability, and we're all psychic. We're all born psychic. So, in that psychic connection, it allows us to feel like we're part of something bigger. And we have to remind ourselves, because negative things happen all the time on the earth. The earth has duality, it has positive, negative, hot and cold, it has evil and good. And there are times when you don't want to deal, you want to just run away and join a convent, or like,
Mm,
like live
yeah.
on an island and like just get away from everything. But you need to respect feeling like that and allow yourself to feel like that, but then not to stay in that, not to stay in that energy, and to realize that you have something to bring to the table. You have something good that you can share, whether it's for one person or 10 or hundreds. You have something that you can share to help uplift others. And you have to stay focused on the good. You have to see those beautiful sunsets and watch a child play with their mom. And you have to keep finding the joy and the miracles and stay connected to the magic of being here on the earth and feeling gratitude and abundance. It's very important.
All good things to remember. Is there things that we can do to keep our light and keep the energies up?
We have to have some kind of spiritual connection. So I feel us Westerners in North America, where we're at, I feel people are spiritually anorexic. I don't think that they're taking time to meditate, to read spiritual books, to talk about spirituality with other people, to find groups of people who are spiritual. More and more, I find people are just reclusing themselves and feeling more
Mhm.
separated. And you need to find and do things that are spiritual. It's really, really important. I was having a hard time a few months ago, and I was feeling very upset and frustrated with things that were going on in my life and in the world in general. And I just broke down and I said, "You need to help me because I need some guidance." And they brought an image of this book that I read years ago, and I looked for it back on my shelf. And lo and behold, I turned around and there was the book. As I started reading it, it just it was almost like, that's right. Like
Mm.
it almost made me feel like I forgot all this stuff,
Mhm.
and it
I think we do.
dispelled.
I think we do actually.
Yeah, we
Yeah.
forget. And it was so cool to like be in that moment to ask spirit, and they popped the name of the book in my head and they said, "Turn around, it's on your shelf. Turn around." And I looked on the shelf, and then I pulled it and I just read it like as fast as I could. I drank it up. This book that I was reading was Entering the Castle by Carolyn Mace.
Mm.
And Entering the Castle is about ascension, overcoming fear, overcoming frustration, and letting go, really
Mm.
focusing on faith, belief, trust, letting go of control, wanting things to happen in your time frame, in your way. And it was just like, oh yeah, that's right. Oh yeah, that's right. So it really made me feel more grounded and more connected. It really helped me a lot. So another book, or another author I would recommend, Carolyn Mace is just amazing. She has a lot of different books that I would suggest, like Anatomy of the Spirit, and of course, Entering the Castle. So another author is Sylvia Brown. Sylvia Brown's books for a lot of beginners that are just opening up, that want some spiritual connection, some spiritual guidance in book form. She was an excellent, excellent teacher. She's passed now, but she wrote so many books on connecting with spirit, connecting with your guides, how spirit works, how we come here from another lifetime, how
Mm.
we reincarnate, how our angels work with us. She has so many really good books, and it's not religious. It's not a religious focus. It's more spiritual based. So anybody could really read it. Anybody could check into that, to the different titles that she wrote. But talking about connecting to spirit, she helped create those books to reach out to millions and millions. She was amazing. That's humanitarianism.
Mm.
Being a humanitarian doesn't mean that you have to write a book or stand on a soapbox and talk to hundreds or thousands of people. It doesn't mean that. Being a humanitarian means just, it could be just one person. It could be just a smile that you give to people, to be uplifting, to be that person where if you felt that way, if you felt frustrated and anxious and fearful, then other people are feeling that too, right? So
For sure.
just to acknowledge that if you felt that way, other people are feeling that way. And when you're feeling good, to share that energy, to share some support, some inspiration to people that you meet. That's humanitarianism, like in a nutshell. It's just to inspire.
Yeah.
You're inspiring people by doing this. You're reaching out to people, creating a platform for people to reach out and find support, spiritual support in all different ways, through
Yeah.
yoga, through Reiki, through book writing, whatever.
Yeah. I don't know how people are getting through this time. I have all the
Well,
tools and I am struggling. I see people who don't have the tools. So I wonder. So
I
it's
think
rough.
too, you have to be very aware of your surroundings and what you're paying attention to. Is if your focus is on lack, it will bring lack. If your focus is on fear, it will bring fear.
Fair.
We're very empathic creatures. Like we absorb our surroundings. So it's really important to understand what's the trigger, what is it that's bothering me or throws me through a loop or disturbs my peace, takes my light away. What is that? And then you have to choose to turn it off, to walk away, to say no, because your peace is more important than anything. If your peace is disturbed, if your light flickers and it starts to go out, no one is going to come and raise that light up unless you allow it. And you have to make it a choice that my peace is what's important.
I agree with you, but I think we also have to not bliss out and make a difference. I think that's where I wonder whether,
Oh, to quit, like I'm
well,
done. And then,
to bliss out and just say, like, I'm not going to pay attention to what's going on and not
oh,
do anything about it. I mean, I think it's not enough to be the light because when you're dealing with so much dark, I don't know if it's enough to be the light. I think you have to help more than that. So I think you have to be aware of what's happening. It's a difficult balance.
so I use my guides for that. I tell them if there's something that I need to know, bring it to me. And then a friend may call me, or maybe they'll tell me to go on Facebook and see what's going on. Or if I need to know something and it's important, then I will find out. It will come to me. So you can use your guides and your angels as a protection
Yeah.
and to give you the information that you need when you need it and to cut out all the riffraff. You know, when there's gossip, when there's lying, when there's manipulation, you know it in your gut. You know it.
Hmm.
You know the truth, right?
Hmm.
You know the truth. And certain people feel like they have to be on a certain path and they have to instill truth or say things in a certain way to try and spread that truth out. And you can join that if you like. But my philosophy is that the more that you integrate into the ego wants control and it wants to be right or wrong. It wants to show you that you're right and others are wrong. That's all ego based.
Mm.
But if you separate from the ego and you see things from a higher perspective, like take a step back and look at the bigger picture. We're going into a year of 9, and things will come to an end. We need to shift into a higher plane of existence, right?
I would agree.
Okay.
We can't stay where we are.
No. So, but we're always changing. Like, I try and tell people, if you don't think we're evolving, look 100 years ago, look 50 years ago, look at the past and see how much we've evolved. Yeah, we still have problems, and there's always going to be problems on the earth. It's the earth. We're always going to have challenges. You're never going to have heaven here. Heaven's in the fifth dimension, right?
Right.
So we came here not to be demolished by the challenges and the obstacles. It's to show us how we can become victorious, how we can learn to overcome them. So when change comes and endings happen, it teaches us how to be flexible in these changing times. And we need change so that we can progress. Plus, we're also in the age of Aquarius. And the age of Aquarius is all about the mind, it's all about tech, It's all about science bringing us new innovation. And
Mhm.
we're already seeing stuff like that. And sure, there's going to be negative stuff. That's normal because it's the earth, but there's going to be good that comes with it. And the point I'm making is we have to develop the faith that our guides and angels and God, the universe, Allah, whatever you believe in, the divine is always watching over us. We're always protected. We're always being supported and helped. And if there's an issue, they will come and help us. If there's a challenge and it's big, we have to have faith, not fear, because the fear disconnects us. And then if we can't hear our guidance system, we won't know what to do next, right?
Mhm. No, I
We
totally
won't
agree with you.
we have to be on that surfboard. We have to be on a spiritual surfboard, and we have to trust our intuition and what we get from our guides and how to maneuver on that board to take us to peace, success, groundedness, joy. It's a choice, right?
Yeah, well, I do think it's a choice. I think it's a hard one, though. I think it's hard these days, honestly.
Well, it is. It depends on how you look at it. It's perception. So, how you look at it. If you're stuck in that mentality, like the world is dog eat dog, we're never going to get through this is horrible, like what is happening? Again, I ask you to pull back and look at the bigger picture. What is meant to happen here? What is meant to happen? What is the bigger reasons for things that are going on? And sometimes we don't understand those things, and we have to leave it up to the divine. And we have to say, if I don't know why these things are happening now, I have to trust that there's a reason for everything. There is a reason, and we may never know until it all boils down to a certain event or a certain occurrence. We may never know. It's a matter of trusting the divine.
Yeah, I get it. I mean, there's a surrender here that has to happen, I think.
Exactly. And it's funny because when you surrender to the divine, this is a big thing to do. It doesn't mean that you are weak in any way. Surrendering doesn't mean to give up. Surrendering to the divine is the hardest thing you will ever do in your life. And it will be the most blessed thing. What it entails is, imagine, this is a good analogy, imagine yourself on a horse and carriage, and you have the reins in your hand, right?
Mhm.
And the horses are pulling the carriage, and you're going through life, and you're telling the horses where to go. Surrender is you hand your reins over to your guides and
Mm.
God and your divine support team. You hand your reins over to them, and you go sit in the carriage. That's surrender. And when you do that, when you fully surrender to the divine, blessings happen. Things that you thought never were possible become possible. Miracles and joys and abundance happens to you. I remember that happening to me years ago. And again, it was the hardest thing I had to do. But when you hand the reins over, you have to stop listening to the ego self and giving it your allegiance, because that is where the frustration lies, is
Mhm.
listening to ego. Once you switch your energy towards spirit and make spirit run the chariot and they're in charge of everything, your ego starts to quiet down because you tell it to. You tell it to be quiet because you're not going to give it any more energy. You're not going to
Mm.
listen. You're not going to listen to it anymore, because spirit is showing you, all in divine timing, everything is as it should be. There is karmic rules here on the earth that happen that we may never know, or we don't know why they happen as they do, but we have to have the faith and the trust. that make sense?
It totally makes sense.
We need to find our space of staying connected. We get lost sometimes and it's frustrating, but it's almost like a meditation. They say sometimes you wander
Mhm.
and you
Mm,
go off,
you always
and then
wonder.
they say that's okay if you wander, bring yourself back, right?
Yeah,
It's the
it
same.
is.
You're frustrated and you get angry and you get pissed off or whatever. Okay, feel that energy, but don't stay there. Find something that helps bring you back, whether it's reading something spiritual. Rumi's very popular right now. There's a lot of
Mhm.
stuff on Rumi and his quotes.
Thich Nhat Hanh too.
Yeah, it's like you need to make a choice not to stay in that and put things into more of a reality check. Okay, so this is happening over there, far, far away, but what is my life doing right now? How is my life? And is it really connected to me? Is that thing that's so far away connected to me? I won't allow any negativity to affect me. You have to make it a choice.
What if you have people in your life that are really engaged in that?
In the rhetoric and things that are going on in the world, you have to limit your time with them. So if it's people at work, okay, and you have to spend time with people at work, okay, you do the job and what's needed in the job. And then when it changes to that rhetoric, it's like, oh, I have an appointment. I have to go. I'll see you all later. Bye. And you walk out. You have to not allow yourself to be an audience for that. What hurts my peace is not for me. I won't allow my peace to be broken. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, I
And
do.
if people say, "Oh, that's not possible," yes, it is. It is possible that you can do that. You can walk away. You can say no. Don't engage in that conversation. Get up and go do something else, or talk to a friend that's positive and uplifting. Go and take a class that gives you inspiration. It doesn't have to be spiritual, it could be anything, something that makes you more creative, something that brings you joy.
Yeah, I mean,
Um,
I've thought that some of what's happening will force us to connect in ways that we may not have done otherwise, which may be one of the positives out of everything, is
well,
that we may not have sought out these things. We lost so many connections in the pandemic. Maybe this is a way that we seek them out again.
we have to be that spark to get these people together. How can I be a part of that? Can I create a group? Can I create a blog? Can I get a group of people together to do something that's inspiring? It doesn't have to be big. I remember times where we had a breakfast and spiritual people would get together and we would have a big giant table at a breakfast place and just get
Yeah.
together and just be peaceful and talking and uplifting. My biggest thing is when you get people together to not talk about negativity, to be inspired so that when you leave each other, you're lighter, you're positive, it's not drowning in more rhetoric. Do you know what I'm saying?
No, I do. I do. I do. Yeah,
And
I think
there's
that's
lots of us out there. I mean, these books, these spiritual books are being sold in millions and millions of copies. Like, I'm not buying all of them. Like, it's not, it's,
I'm not
we have
I'm not
lots of spiritual
Christina
people.
Leeson isn't single-handedly buying all of them.
No, exactly. I have a newsletter I send out every week, just giving people a heads up on what's coming and how to handle the energies and what to focus on. And I send it out to over 2,000 people every week. In turn, those people forward it on Facebook or forward it to their friends.
Mhm.
And I get so many people texting me or sending, oh my God, your message hit it right on. Thank you for that.
They are amazing newsletters, definitely.
It could be just that. And Spirit tells me I need to do those to keep the community, to give people hope and faith. And you could be instructed to do the same.
Yeah.
All of us.
Yeah. I've taken a lot of your time. What did I miss asking? What do you feel that you want to share before we go?
I think the biggest thing is everybody listening and everybody out there has amazing potential. Everyone has a purpose. Everybody has a gift. And we come to Earth with lots of people. We don't come here and live on an island all by ourselves. And we're here to share that gift, to share our purpose. And I don't believe that any purpose or any gifts that people have are better than each other's. Everybody has something special that they can offer. And to find out what it is that they're here to help with on the earth plane. It's not about whoever has the most toys wins. When I talk to people on the other side who've crossed over, it's always the time we spent together.
Mm.
And remember when we did this and the memories. And that's what's important, not stuff, not material things. It's also how we gave somebody inspiration, how we gave somebody hope, how we held their hand when they crossed over. Those
Mhm.
are the messages I get from them. And that's what's important. That's what's important. It's not the stuff, it's not the chaos.
Mm.
They don't ever talk about, oh, remember the horrible things that happened. No, they're saying, remember when I sent you that dove? Remember when that butterfly came to you when you were really having a hard time? It's inspiration.
Whatever spirit guide sent me that video of penguins chasing butterflies, I want to say thank you. Yeah. And I shared it. It was my favorite. It's probably my favorite video of this year.
Wait, but what was going on when you saw it? You were really in despair. You were
I
really in
was.
a bad space, right?
And I never get those videos. I have a friend that's a vet and she posts a ton of them. Maybe that's why I got them. But I was like, oh, I got one for Jen because it was just unbelievable. So, yeah,
Yeah. And that's when you get spirit is like, I'm right here. I'm right here. I hear you. And it's a choice. You have to choose spirit over ego. You
yeah.
can't
I think
let
that's a
your
really good one.
ego, and I can't let your ego win, please. We need it to survive on the earth, but we don't have to pay attention to it. We don't have to give it our allegiance. It will only cause you more pain, more sorrow. Listen to your guides, tap into your guides. Your guides give you what you need when you need it.
Thank you. Thank you. And
Mhm.
so, are you working on another book? I think
I
you
am
are, right?
working I am working on a guidebook. So I'm talking about all the experiences that I had with my guides
Okay, good.
and all the crazy stories that I have to share. And with each story, I'm going to give a little anecdote on what I learned from it and how you can get closer to your guides.
I can't wait to read it.
Yep, I'm
And
working on it right now.
awesome. Well, thank you so, so much for the time today and for always supporting the podcast and me. So I really
Thanks
appreciate it.
for having me. And if anybody's interested in my newsletter or my meditations that I have for free on my website, you can go to innerlighthc.com or Christina Leeson with no H in it. It's CRISTINALEESON.com. And you can sign up for the newsletter and you can do the meditations that are there. There's 16 of them for free and podcasts as well.
Awesome. And those links will be in the show notes too.
Great.
Thank you
Thank
so, so
you.
much.
Thanks, Donna.
That's all for today. If you want to learn more about Christina's Inner Light Holistic Community, her YouTube recordings, and free meditations, those links will be in the show notes. Thank you so much for listening. I hope this episode was helpful. If it was, please subscribe, drop a review, or share it with your friends and family. That's the best way to get it in the hands of those who may benefit. And if my daughters Sienna and Sylvia are listening, I want you to know how proud I am of you, and I love you so very much. Bye now.